If you're looking for more content like this, check out mwpnews.com or bewareofspoilers.com. Good evening and welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam on this Tuesday. It is Thanksgiving week, so happy preemptive Thanksgiving to everyone out there. And what comes after Thanksgiving? Black Friday. And it's our yearly Black Friday roundup episode where we talk about some of the biggest deals in video games and movies. And I like to take the time to highlight this because I've said it before and I will say it again and I'll continue to say it. Physical media may seem antiquated, but there's a lot of benefits to physical media. Having a physical DVD means that you do not have to worry about it being delisted or a movie not being available. There have been several instances this year where we talked about movies on this show where I had to go through great lengths to find it streaming, and then I'm like, fuck it, let me just grab the DVD. Detective Pikachu, The Hunger Games. We did find them eventually, but it's a hassle. Um, and namely, it is I have to go through my DVD stack to find them. So looking at, in that regard, that's one thing. But in the video game space, if a game gets delisted, it's just gone forever, and you can't get it back. There's no legal way to get these games, and then that's just it. And a physical copy will prevent that from happening. So that's what makes it kind of worth it. So just beyond that, I mean, I'm 100% for physical media, and you know, beyond that, a lot of these things are expensive, and the economy's not great. So let's just, look at what's on sale, what we can get cheap, and what is worth looking at. So all three of the major game developers or game hardware manufacturers do have new releases, have their current consoles that are the ones on the market available for sale with bundles that are worth, looking at and taking serious consideration of. Um, let's start with the Let's start with the Nintendo Switch. There are two models of Nintendo Switch that have bundles available. The base Switch is available at the discounted rate of $299.99. Now that's not discounted. What's discounted is the fact that it comes bundled with Mario Kart 8 and 3 months of Nintendo Switch Online. To be clear, it's Nintendo Switch Online, not the expansion, and I believe this is just the base Mario Kart 8, not including the expansion pass. So you would have to get the expansion pass separate or pay extra for the expansion pass for Switch Online. Either way, it's not a terrible deal because the game is still retailing at $60, so you're still getting that discount. If you want the OLED Switch, they do have that plus Super Smash Bros. Ultimate plus 3 months of Switch Online. Again, base game, not including the DLC. That's at $349.99. So you're basically getting the game for free. Now, Nintendo's in a weird situation this year because both of these games are at the end of their life cycle, quote unquote, as games go, where as the game goes on, there is less. What's wrong for here? They continue to get content. They got 2 years of content onto Mario Kart 8, and there was a ton of content that came to Smash after its release. With that being the case, we're looking at two games that are at the end of those cycles. We're looking at a console that's at the end of its hardware cycle, nearing 7 years. I think we've had the Switch. So therein lies the issue. I think the issue is if you don't have a Switch at this point, I think investing $350 in an OLED or $300 in a base is not a great investment. I think you're better off holding off until you get to the Switch 2 and the Super Nintendo Switch, whatever they're going to call the next generation hardware. I think you're better off just waiting because we're at the end of this hardware cycle, and by the time it comes out, I don't think there are there are games that are coming next year that are great. But if you haven't been enticed by the games that are offered up until this point, I don't think a remake of Super Mario, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door, or Luigi's Mansion: Dark Moon, or Princess Peach Showtime are enough to entice you in. Where it's like this is a worthwhile investment. Um, so I think this is kind of a skip for me if I didn't have a Switch, because at this point, if I didn't have one, I would just wait for the next one. Um, PlayStation has two bundles as well. This is the model with the disc drive of the PlayStation 5. that comes with digital downloads. You can get either Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty, or you can get Spider-Man 2. Uh, I think the better option, if you're looking at these two, the better option is hands down Spider-Man 2. Um, and kudos to Sony for having two bundles for games that came out in the last 2 months. I think that that's a very strong place to come at it, especially when you're trying to sell this next-gen hardware. And I think if there's a game that is worth doing here, it's Spider-Man 2, because Spider-Man 2 really showcases the power of the current gen hardware. We'll call it current gen at this point, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. Um, and to that end, I think that because you're going to get to play that game, it's going to sell you on what this hardware can do and why this was a good investment. I haven't played Modern Warfare 3. I haven't played a Call of Duty game since Advanced Warfare. Call of Duty's not really my speed. Um, but I have not heard good things from people who do play Call of Duty, to the point where I'm like, I think this is a game that's not really gonna do what you need it to do. Nor is it going to really sell you on what this is. It's kind of like when we talk about the Game of the Year conversation. Why was Starfield not nominated? Um, I think, and again, this is me personally, playing Starfield, I never got the sense that this is a game that needed next gen hardware to run. Like there was nothing about this that like this needed to be on the Xbox Series X. Um, and to that end, you like I couldn't even fathom my PlayStation 4 running Spider-Man 2. Forgetting the fact that like the haptic feedback and everything that goes into what the DualSense can do. That's kind of why I think the Spider-Man 2 option is the better option of the two PlayStations. Now, on the Xbox side of things, they also have two bundles. There is the Diablo 4 bundle and the bundle that comes with 3 months of Xbox Game Pass. Both, I should have mentioned, the PlayStation is $4.99. The Xbox Series X, in both these cases, is $4.49, making it the better deal for that. Um, I don't know anything about games like Diablo 4 to be able to say that it's worth getting into right now. Um, that said, I do think that if someone wanted to play Diablo 4, they probably would have gotten into it by now. They probably wouldn't have waited until November, December. Um, I do think that the bundle that's worth getting here, probably the best deal available, with an asterisk, is the Xbox Series S X bundle that comes with 3 months of Game Pass. Because that gets you Forza, that gets you there are a bunch of batch Call of Duty. You get Halo Infinite. You get Starfield. You get Vampire Survivors. You get Hi-Fi Rush, and that kind of puts you in a great position if you're someone who wants to play Microsoft games. And I think that alone makes it kind of worth not getting a base game with it, and then to continue Game Pass, the price does stay at a reasonably low rate where it is worth continuing on with it, even if you don't buy any physical games. And then if you do like a game, you can buy it with a discount. That said, I will say this about the Xbox Series X. I do think that it is held back in a way that the PlayStation 5 is not because of its sister console. What I mean by that is there are two models of Xbox. There's the Xbox Series X, there's the Xbox Series S. X as in X-Men, S as in Steven. The issue with that is the Series S doesn't have a disk drive and is also not quite as powerful. There are some slight differences. And any title, Xbox requires parity between the two, meaning that if it can run on the Series X, it also has to be able to run on the Series S, which means it's going to be played down to the level of the S. That kind of is where we are on this, where I kind of feel like the Xbox is not underpowered because the Xbox Series X can do great things, but because it's held back by what the Series X can handle, which is why you don't get the ability to do split screen multiplayer in Baldur's Gate 3 when that does eventually come. So that is something to take into consideration as well with the Xbox. Now, in terms of other hardware, I want to address one thing for anyone out there who may be considering buying a gift for someone. who's listening to this. Though I feel like if you're listening to a podcast about video games and movies, you probably know this already. The PlayStation Portal, if you manage to get your hands on it, is not a standalone console. It does require remote play with a PlayStation 5. So the person has to already own a PlayStation 5 to be able to use a PlayStation Portal because it just remotes into their existing console. Now, the backbone is marked down to $69.99. Similar situation to the PlayStation Portal, where it does require a base console. I think that this will be a use case that'll depend on the person and their internet connection. I would not recommend it if you do not know that you have the internet connection to be able to use it, because you do need a strong connection both at home and while on the go. And if you're someone who travels, it's useful. If you're, it's a great thing if you want to just put something on your TV and play on your console at the same time. Um, so it is somewhat useful, but again, it depends on the use case, especially with the Portal being existing and having a larger screen. Though the Portal is 200 and very hard to get your hands on, and you can't use Bluetooth with it. That said, the Backbone does also have an Xbox model, for those who have an Xbox Series X. Moving on to VR, there is a sale on the MetaQuest 2. The MetaQuest 2 is marked down to $250. Although I think same situation as we talked about with Diablo 4. I think if you do not have a MetaQuest at this point, there probably isn't anything out there that warrants buying this right now. The same goes for any VR. And most controllers are marked down, both for Xbox and for PlayStation. Now, in terms of games, there's a lot of games on sale. Nintendo has their first parties kind of marked down, so you can get like Luigi's Mansion 3, you can get Super Mario Odyssey, you can get Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword HD, so that's worth looking into, and this is across multiple retailers, including Best Buy, Walmart, and GameStop. I did notice that none of the mainline Pokemon games are on sale except for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and I did notice that was only at GameStop. Now I know those games had a lot of hate, but I would recommend it for $29.99. I think that's not a bad deal. Um, Also worth noting, none of this year's major releases are marked down. Don't expect to get Tears of the Kingdom marked down. Don't expect to get Super Mario Wonder. Don't expect to get WarioWare Move It. Don't expect Super Mario RPG. Pikmin 4. Those are all going to be your standard baseline. And also, the two games that are bundled into consoles are not marked down either, so you will not be able to get Smash or Mario Kart for less than full retail price, from what I've been able to find. I could be wrong, but from what I've seen so far, that is not the case. Now, in terms of some third-party titles, there are a good amount that are marked down as well, including the fairly recent releases, Assassin's Creed Mirage for $39.99, and then you also have what was the other big one that was recent? That was a third-party release that I wrote down here. Oh, the Metal Gear Collection is also $39.99. You can get NBA 2K24 for $29.99. You can get Hogwarts Legacy for $39.99. Madden 24 for $29. So all of those. Jedi Survivor is another good one you can get for $34.99, and then there's also Street Fighter 6 for $39.99. So they have some pretty big blowouts on some of the major releases from this year. On the PlayStation side of things, you can get The Last of Us Part 1 for the PS5 in advance of The Last of Us Part 2 coming out next year for $39.99, and they also have Final Fantasy 16 at the same price, and God of War Ragnarok at $34.99 on the and Gran Turismo 7 for $39.99. Now the issue is Xbox does not have any real sales on their first party titles, although you can get at GameStop they had not Jedi Survivor, Vampire Survivors listed at $17.50, and I did see Best Buy was listing Halo Infinite at $14.99. Now, if you're looking for movies, which is what we talk about a lot on here, I wouldn't recommend any of the this year's Marvel releases at the current prices. So, I think that the issue is I don't think Quantumania is quite good enough to warrant the near full retail price for a 4K Blu-ray. I think it's listed at $22.99. That's not worth it, I don't think. Guardians is still pretty high as well. I don't think Guardians is bad, but I don't think it's worth that. Um, that price, especially considering next year it'll be down around 15, which is where you can get Wakanda Forever, though. Wakanda Forever is worth that price. At $9.99 at Best Buy, you can get Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a must-buy. Top Gun Maverick, which if you're trying to showcase the power of your new home theater system, is definitely worth it. John Wick Chapter 4 you can get for $14.99. That's another really good deal. Both Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse in 4K are available for $16.99, which is another one that's great for showing off what your new home theater system is capable of, just to see what the difference is between it and your old one. What else have we got? Interstellar you can get for, I think, $7.99. I would say that the ideal thing to get is the 4K Blu-ray for anything you're looking to buy, because the 4K Blu-ray does tend to come bundled with the standard Blu-ray. So you will get that if you do not have a 4K Blu-ray player. Plus the fact that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, and even the Xbox One, the more higher end Xbox One models do come with built-in what's it called, with built-in 4K Blu-ray players. So it's not hard to get a hold of one. Um, that said, I would recommend the 4K, because even if you don't have it, you can still play the Blu-ray. If you do have 4K, it is going to give you the best quality video. And at these prices, most of them are going to be marked down below $20. So this is a good time to stock up on anything that you may have wanted. Zack Snyder's Justice League is also down to $9.99 if you are into that. Transformers Rise of the Beast to $8.99 if you're a Transformers fan. Barbie, I think, is still a little high for 4K, but the Super Mario Bros. Movie in 4K is $9.99. And the same for the Flash. I think the Flash, we're going to reach a point where if you're paying more than, I would say, $8 for the Flash, it's not worth it. But I think on that note, we will wrap up there for today. We do have a lot of great deals coming out this week, and if I do buy anything, I will let everyone know, as usual. Starting next year, we're going to have a slight format change on this show. More details on that in the future. We may be launching a fourth podcast as well, as we work out details on that. More details to come. And one final thing. If you are interested in supporting this show or any of the other shows, you can go to mwpnews.com. Click on the Help Us Out link and pick up any of my books. My most recent, which is Succession Planning, which is a more realistic fiction, uh, thing set in a retail store. That is available starting on Black Friday for $2.99. So it's really cheap, and it helps out the show and helps support everything we try to do here across all of the podcasts. Until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.